pack and prepare for a camping trip. Okay.
All right, you ready?
Oh, I've been ready.
All right. Can't wait for this trip, man.
Which trip are we going on this year?
We're going to the Ohlone Wilderness.
Ohlone?
Week-long backpack. All right, I think we should do a pack check. What do you think? Just to make sure that we have all the things we need. Oh, now,
I had everything.
it sounds like you got everything. You do realize we're backpacking.
Yes, it all fits in the
Okay.
backpack.
It all fits in the backpack. So, scouts need to have what we call the 10 essentials. Okay? So, let's go through our packs and make sure that we have our 10 essentials. So, the first of the 10 essentials we should have is water. Do you have your water with you?
Do I have my water? What a silly question. I only got that much water?
Aha, I see you brought a little water. Generally, I would bring 2 liters. Well, depends on how far we're going, right? So the 10 essentials kind of go in pairs. So if we have water,
Fire.
we should have, no, not fire. Food, food, food. Did you bring extra food? Like for instance, I brought all right. You brought a chicken. Okay.
Yes. Wait.
I brought a bar, some fruit rolls.
Oh, so you meant snack food.
Yeah, it's like extra food. Yeah.
Okay.
Hotel.
I brought chips and dip.
In a glass container. Okay, so we got our water and our food. Now, like I said, the 10 essentials tend to go as pairs, okay? And so, I have in the top of my pack, falling out, right at the very top of my pack so it's easy to find, my rain gear. I have my rain jacket and I have my rain pants. Did you bring your rain gear?
Did I bring my rain gear? I'm prepared for this outing.
You brought an umbrella to go backpack.
Why not?
All right.
It's an umbrella. What's wrong with an umbrella?
An umbrella for your backpack. So we have water, we have food, we have rain gear, and we have extra clothes, okay, in case our clothes get wet or something. I brought a sweatshirt.
Okay, let me see what you brought first this time.
I brought a sweatshirt in case I get cold. I brought extra socks and liners in case I fall in the stream again. And I brought my scout shirt, which is polyester. I even brought polyester underwear.
So, you mentioned falling in the stream. So after our last unplanned water day,
Yeah,
I prepared by bringing my swim trunks.
those are your extra clothes.
I brought an extra t-shirt to change into.
Okay, that's good.
Definitely prepared for a day at the beach. I brought another pair of swim trunks in case those get dirty.
Right.
So I'm ready to go swimming.
You're ready to go swimming. Good. Okay. So we got our water, our food, our rain gear, and our extra clothes. Now, should you get hurt while you're swimming, you should have easily found at the top of your pack your first aid kit.
Yes.
Did you bring a first aid kit?
Well,
I'm afraid to ask.
So you said first aid kit, and I thought, you know, I was told once to simplify and reduce, so I just brought some super glue.
Super glue.
Well, think about it. Get it cut? Super glue. Break your leg? Super glue. Sprain your ankle? Super glue.
All right, let me think about that one for a while.
Got you covered.
Okay, so we got our water, we got our food, we got our rain gear, we got our extra clothing. We've got our first aid
Ooh,
kit.
ooh, 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 ooh. I know what goes with this. Pocket knife.
No. The knife does not go with the rain gear.
No, it goes with the first aid
First
kit.
aid kit. The first aid kit. Sunscreen. Did you bring your sunscreen?
Really? You wonder if I brought sun protection.
I see you're making multiple uses of the same equipment.
Reduce how much I have to bring.
Reduces the amount of stuff you have to bring. Okay, so let's review. Water, food, rain gear, clothing, first aid kit, and sunscreen. Now, that is 6. There are 10 essentials. Let me think. Ah, yes.
Flashlight?
Flashlight. Yeah, so I brought a flashlight, so while I'm hiking after dark, I have my hands free. What did you bring for a flashlight?
That's all you brought.
That is all I brought.
That's going to illuminate the trail in front of you.
Yes, it is.
And I will be lighting up the
Yes, I see. Well, at least you brought one of the 10 essentials.
I have brought all of the 10 essentials.
So we have, water, food, rain gear, clothes, first aid kit, sunscreen, and flashlights. Now, like I say, things like to go in pairs. So flashlight is kind of like, what else makes light? Fire.
Am I right?
So I brought a pack of hurricane matches in a Ziploc bag to keep them extra dry. And you brought
Natural log, the turplane tree.
Duraflame log. And how are you going to start that Duraflame log?
So you wasted time bringing single-purpose matches.
Yes.
This handy magnifying glass will both allow me to combine my light to make fire and will let me read the small little text that says warning.
Okay, so you're going to start a fire with a magnifying glass. I see that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's review once again. Water, food, rain gear, extra clothes, first aid kit, sunscreen, headlamp, and fire starters. That's 8. There's 2 more. Unfortunately, the last 2 don't really go together. But, did you bring a pocket knife?
Well, I mean, it's a knife and it fit in the pocket.
I'm afraid to ask.
Look, if you're going to cut the chicken, you're going to need a bigger knife than the one you brought.
We'll have to think about how scout appropriate those knives are.
I mean,
All right.
there's 2 of us. They're each less than 7 inches, so
So let's review again. All right. Water, food, rain gear, extra clothes, first aid kit, sunscreen, light, fire, and
nice.
All right. One more thing, and that would be
I know this one.
a map and a compass. I have the Aluminum Wilderness map and a compass. What did you bring?
So, well, I was a little confused, so I brought a map of a video game Zelda Breath of the Wild. And then to help navigate that, I brought my console so that while we're in the backcountry, I can play my game and use the map to get around it more effectively.
I think you missed the point about the map.
Well, it's a map. It helps me navigate.
It helps you navigate a game,
Yes.
but it doesn't help you navigate where you're hiking.
Well, no, it would not do that.
No, it would not. And besides, don't we have a policy about no electronics on our outings?
Oh, so I shouldn't bring this as well?
You shouldn't have brought that either. No,
Well, but why not?
because we have a policy about that.
There's always a rule.
Always a rule. So one more time, let's go through the 10 essentials. Water, extra food, rain gear, extra clothing, first aid kit, sunscreen, light, matches, a knife, map and compass.
Yes.
Okay.
Got all of those.
You got it all?
All of
Okay. Now, have you remembered the 11th essential?
Yes. Yes.
The 11th essential.
Wait, let me go first. So I brought a couple of essentials because last time you described...
A couple 11th essentials.
Well, last time you said I was straight up wrong.
Yes.
So let's see how good I did this time. First off, I brought an extra battery.
You brought an extra battery
Yes.
for
The phone and the video
the
games.
electronics you're not supposed to have.
Well, but it's a battery. It powers everything.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, fine. I've got another one. So last
I
time,
think some of us are missing the point.
well, okay, so last time you told me that amongst other problems, my things were too single purpose. So I brought a spool of 3D printer filament so I can print whatever we're missing.
I see that. I'm afraid to ask.
And then because the 3D printer makes a lot of noise, I brought my headphones.
I see that.
Because now,
Right, okay.
huh?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, you know what? If those are all wrong, at least, unlike you, I will be relaxing in comfort with my reclining solid steel camp chair.
Your camp chair. That's not exactly what I had in mind.
But it's essential. Think about it. Can you imagine being stuck in a class for 2 days without a chair?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's an essential.
Well, I hate to tell you, but I was thinking about toilet paper. Let me tell you, when you're out in the backcountry, this is my toilet paper, by the way. You might notice that I actually have some extra toilet paper. These are for the scouts. Let me tell you, if you want to find out about the concept of supply and demand, and how the value of something goes up when there's low supply, be the only one with toilet paper on an outing.
Look, fine. I got you covered there. I have a reusable towel.
A reusable towel. Okay. All right.
Okay, so it's 12 essential then, Mr. I know more than 10, because you said they come in pairs.
Well, there is the handy dandy bandana. Now you know from our Leave No Trace class that there are 101 uses for a bandana.
And counting.
And counting. And yes, extra toilet paper is one of those 101.
So it's still the 11th. Your counting confuses me. That's all I can say.
Well, so this is 11, and this is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and you get the picture.
Do the uses also just come in pairs?
Sometimes they come 101 together. All right. Do you have anything else that you brought that might be handy?
Well, okay, so after we decided we're doing chicken for dinner right now, I planned ahead, and just because the kitchen staff wasn't paying attention for about 5 seconds, I snuck out. So we can cook the chicken, and we can use the salsa as sauce. And you can sit there and eat your granola bar, and I will have a great dinner.
Okay. And you're going to carry that on a backpack.
Well, I mean, do I have to?
Yeah.
No.
So, you guys may have noticed that we didn't come up here and lecture you all, right? You guys are tired of lectures. This is a different way of teaching a skill, all right? A skit, basically, is what we did, with a little bit of humor, all right? It gets attention, right? People are like, what is the next thing that's going to come out of the backpack, right? And also the good cop, bad cop thing, we think works really well, because hopefully you'll remember the correct things when you think about the incorrect things, and it'll stick a little better. So these are some of the things you can bring on a backpack out. Well, these are the things you're supposed to bring on a backpack outing, the 10 essentials. And like I said, we always talk about toilet paper being the 11th essential.
Now, I would like to say, by the way, all of the things except for my 11th essential are items which have actually appeared on a backpacking trip that I have been on, either as a scout or as staff on a trip. So it seems silly. I have seen people bring a try to bring this backpacking. We've seen the Duraflame log be put into a bag. It seems over the top. You'd never be surprised by what people attempt to bring if they don't know what you should bring. They just hear fire starter.
Which is why you should do a pack check before you take your unit on an outing, to make sure that you have the appropriate equipment with you. One of the worst things that can happen is, especially with young scouts, carry too much weight. And they tend to bring things they don't need, and then their pack's too heavy, and then they're uncomfortable, and they don't have a good time. How much weight should a scout or anybody bring? Does anybody know how much weight people should bring? Do you know?
25% of their body weight.
25% of your body weight. Now, that means I could carry a fair amount because my body weighs a lot. All right? I have had scouts that weigh 80 pounds. All right? Stephen weighed about 80 pounds in his first outing, which means they can carry how much weight? 20 pounds. Okay? How much did your pack weigh with that?
The best guess is about 40 pounds,
Yeah,
give or
it's about
take.
40. When I stepped out my first Philmont trip, my pack weighed 50 pounds.
Did you bring a Dutch oven with you?
And we did a pack check before we left. I did not bring a Dutch oven.
Now, as note, that 25% of your body weight is not just your backpack, the tent, the sleeping bag, your extra clothes, and your matches. It includes the food and water that you bring.
It's the food.
And don't forget, this is one of the heavier things in the pack at 8 pounds for a gallon of water. Remember that. It adds up fast, so especially for the little ones, they can't necessarily carry everything.
We actually bring a scale, a bathroom scale, to our outings before we leave. We're in the parking lot. We actually weigh the packs because they're not fully packed until the patrol gets together and the patrol puts all the gear in, right? Then you gotta weigh it, right? And quite often you'll find that there's too much weight. Now that's a better time when you're in the parking lot before you leave for the outing. There's a better time to be taking things out than when you're a mile down the trail and one of your scouts is broken down and can't carry his backpack anymore.
Additionally, if it's a multi-day trip, be aware as people are trying to be helpful and they take an extra piece of gear here. Or somebody feels their pack's too heavy, so they ask somebody else to carry that piece of patrol gear. You can end up, yes, the packs were the correct way at the beginning. By day 3, if you're wondering why someone is suddenly zooming ahead and their tent mate is lagging behind, there's a decent chance that one of them is carrying the entire tent and the other one isn't.
Right. Some other things that you might consider taking on a backpack outing. Big floppy hat.
So I should bring this.
Yes, you should. Sometimes it's easier to humor him. Right? Now, anybody know what this is?
Yes.
What is this? 50 feet of paracord, all right, with 1,000 pounds of strength, all right? You may think, well, we're not going anywhere where somebody would fall over a cliff. Guess what? I've been on an outing where we couldn't get up a chute, and nobody had any rope. If we had a rope, we could have pulled people up, because some of the people made it up. Some people like to put this on their hat, right? But like I say, it's tied in such a way that all you have to do is unloosen it and it just comes right apart. 50 feet of rope. All right. A hat. What else have I got here? This is not really necessary. This is more like your stuff.
Say, that's just on my side.
That's a blow-up pillow.
It goes very well with your reclining camp chair.
You have to eat, so you need something to put your food in. All right, this is, all right, a collapsible bowl. Goes with my spork. All right,
Serrated spork.
this plastic serrated spork. All right, this is the greatest utensil known to mankind. All right, now if you don't want to get one like that, you can always use what the boys love, the squishy bowl. All right, now. You've heard that there's 1,001 uses of duct tape. My squishy bowl got a hole in it.
But as part of the squishy bowl,
It's repaired. That's a squishy cup.
they turn inside out so you can lick it clean.
You can lick it clean. Speaking of our 11th essential, anybody know what this is?
Yes. Wag bag.
This is a wag bag. It's a portable toilet. All right, for carrying your waste out of that country. There are places where you must use them. They're required to. Generally places above the tree line.
Why would you bring those if you're not going to one of those places?
You never know.
Okay.
Really? And essential, you gotta have some way to purify your water. I prefer to pump it rather than to put pills in. They claim that the pills are better, but the real ones I've used have a taste to them.
And then one note with the water filter, even if you have the scouts who decide to bring multiple gallons of water, if you're going on a 2-day, 1-night backpacking trip and you're hiking a lot, 1 gallon of water per person when you include cooking will not be enough, right? You need to plan ahead. Make sure that for every stretch of your journey between known water sources, you have water, and then you also have backups in case one of those known water sources isn't currently a water source, especially in the summer, right?
I've
That's
had
happened to you.
that happen. I've gone backpacking, planned to get water in a certain place. That spring was dried up and had to walk another like 7 or 8 miles to the next water source. It was a bad day. I have a liquid fuel stove, which comes with a pump, and the problem with this is you got to bring liquid fuel. It works at high altitudes. Some of the gas type stoves don't work at high altitudes. The other thing you need to bring when you have that is some sort of pot to boil water in. On the flip side, you can get the infamous jet boil, which has the burner and the fuel inside, and this is actually what you boil the water in. And the jet boil, this boils water 4 times faster than this does. We've actually measured it. We've actually done a side-by-side comparison. And you can get 8 cups of water boiled here before you get 2 cups of water boiled on the liquid fuel. Some of the other things you can bring, you got to sleep, right? I have a blow-up pad. All right, a lot of the boys like to use the foam. That for me is not thick enough. That blow-up pad's 2.5 inches thick. I have backpacking. This is my backpacking sleeping bag. This is a 0-30 sleeping bag. It's made specifically for backpacking. It's down. That's the only downside of it. It's down, so if it does get wet, it's a problem. Again, it's very lightweight. For those of you who know about thermodynamics, the value of insulation is in the still air that's encaptured by the material in the bag. What we find is that when you're pushing down on the bottom of the bag compresses, and there's no still air to insulate you from the ground. Therefore, this bag has no bottom, because that's just a waste of stuff to carry.
As long as
this provides the still air to insulate me from the ground. Right?
So, sorry, what kind of sleeping bag is that?
A very warm one.
I'm asking what brand is it?
It is a Thermarest. As is the pad or the mat, and it's Thermarest is not cheap. They don't make this style anymore. Now they make them with basically a flat bottom with no insulation in it. So, because what you find is you roll and then there's a hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people in the troop say that if you're sleeping on snow or on really cold ground, that a hollow insulated pad is not as thermally resistant as something that actually has foam in it, question mark?
Down there. Depends on the pad.
So I can answer that one. So if you think about it, what you're looking to do, it's all about heat transfer.
Right.
Your body is producing heat. You want that heat to stay close to you so you don't have, 0 degrees Celsius snow touching you. However, the heat from you is going to go into whatever's between you and the ground, whether that's the nice cold 40-degree ground here or snow, doesn't really make a difference. It's cold. Like we said, it's all about the still air. So whether you have a Thermarest, whether you have foam, whatever you have, it's going to slow that heat transfer. Again, if you're going to snow, plan ahead, be prepared. You might need to bring 2 layers. You might need to bring a pad, put down the solar reflective blanket, and then put down another pad in order to actually make it so that the heat transfer stops well below zero, before 0 degrees hits you.
I can't tell you from experience because I've never camped on snow with this. I have camped on snow with the pad, with the foam pad. And I've slept in snow cave. It is one of the coolest things you can do is to sleep in a snow cave. And believe it or not, it's actually not that cold. It warms up inside. It's weird.
Yeah.
Thermarest makes uninsulated and insulated versions of the
Yes.
self-inflated.
All these big bad companies do.
Yeah, it's the thing, when you're looking to buy, be aware, what are you going to use it for? They will sell you whatever you want and they'll make you pay for it. So always be aware before you're going on a trip. What gear do you have? What do you need to bring on this trip? Can you get away with bringing the Dutch oven? Probably not. But always be aware of what you need to bring for what you're going to be experiencing.
This is more for fun, but we were at Philmont one time and there was a crew that was using these as a plate. They were actually putting a gallon Ziploc bag over it, and they would basically lick the bag and then sterilize the bag. As the food actually touched the bag. But it's still double as neat. Now, don't forget your tent. Now, if I was really backpacking, these bags wouldn't be here. There's no point in carrying the bag that holds the tent or the bag that holds the poles. It would just be the poles, right? You might think that's silly, an ounce here and an ounce there. Guess what? It adds up quick. I can get 16 ounces out really fast. When I stepped out, like I said, the first time I went to Philmont, I had a 50-pound pack. When I stepped out last summer, I did the Lost Coast. I stepped out with a 38-pound pack. Huge difference in how fast and how far you can walk with that much less weight. What else do I have? Do I know what this is? This is not a bandana, but
Travel towel.
this is actually a backpacking towel for taking a shower or washing in a stream, which I've done many times. Again, bandana works just as well, or almost as well. I think we're just about there. Now, let's talk about the packs themselves. If you're going out for a day hike, this is my day pack. You'll notice that my day pack has a hip belt. I can carry, well, Stephen and I went on a hike once where we took 6.5 liters of water on a day hike, and we actually shared the day pack back and forth. It turns out that was a 20-mile hike, and 6.5 liters wasn't enough for 2 of us. But you need the hip belt to keep the weight on your hips, or your shoulders get really sore. Now,
This is not a day pack.
Stephen is putting on his first backpack. Stephen was this tall when he got his first backpack. You may notice that it no longer fits him very well. In fact, I'm surprised you get it tight. We need to avoid the urge to buy a pack that's a little big that our kids can grow into. Because if the pack's too big, the shoulder straps will be too high. The pack will pull the person backwards. The person will have a miserable time, and they will not ever want to go backpacking again. Right? So essentially, and unless you are really good at adjusting a backpack, you should go to a place like REI or a store that specializes in outdoor gear and have them adjust the pack for you with whoever you're buying it for. Notice this has a hip belt too. Never ever try and go on a backpack outing without a hip belt. My hip belt broke one time on a back. It actually ripped off the hip belt on a hike on a backpack outing. I made it a half of a mile before I couldn't carry the backpack anymore. And luckily I had 50 feet of paracord, and I was able to tie the hip belt back on in a way that I could carry it, because with the, and properly adjusted hip belt, and this is not really properly adjusted, but the weight should all rest on your hip bone, right? And you know the weight's resting on your hip bone if you can put your fingers here and move your backpack back and forth just a little bit, not too much, because if it's too much, it's going to pull you backwards. But if you can't stick your thumb in there and wiggle it around, it's because there's too much pressure on your shoulders, and pressure on your shoulders results in a bad experience.
And then just to add on, we're talking about hiking and backpacking. One of the places that I see a lot of youth, because I work as a teacher, carrying heavy loads is going to and from school or even walking around. It's amazing how even as we move to a digital world, I still see people carrying around 1 or 2 textbooks, plus their lunch, plus their water, plus other things they might not supposed to have at school. And without a hip belt, I'm watching them walk around and be slumped over or dragged backward. When you're getting a backpack for somebody, look into getting one with a hip belt. They're not hard to find. It's not like it's going to cost you 5 times more. It's worth a little bit more expense to increase the quality of life for whoever's carrying that around.
Any questions about backpacks? No? No questions?
This roll, this clip,
Oh, the clip in the front?
yes.
Uh,
So how tight or what is the fundamental here?
Way high.
So the idea of this, so you look at the difference, it's pretty obvious with this one because the bag is
You
empty.
can tell I
It's
don't use mine because I don't like it.
The idea is it pulls the shoulder straps closer
Keeps
together
the shoulder straps from like
and it doesn't fall off.
on your arms.
Actually, but the question is that after let's say 7-8 miles, one place is start hurting, so you just adjust a little bit more.
It's adjusted. The idea is to make sure that, again, if there's discomfort, there's a lot of straps for a reason. The idea is that you can modify, change things up. If one hip has too much weight and you can't repack the pack necessarily, you might need to adjust it so that that one hip strap is riding a little bit higher or lower. You can do that. These things are amazingly modifiable, even in the field where all you got is a couple straps and clips. You don't need to get up the rope.
At the risk of personal injury, you want to speak to internal frame and external frame?
Oh, well, that's
Oh yeah,
an easy one.
we would love to talk about that.
Because internal frame is superior in every way.
The number
Okay. We will begin with this by saying, before anybody says a word to me about internal frames do not have enough internal storage space.
They don't.
I fit a camping chair and a Dutch oven into my bag, along with a chicken.
A little Dutch oven.
It's
I
a
can get a
10-inch
much bigger Dutch oven in my
This is a 10-inch Dutch oven.
Okay,
So don't you dare tell me that there is a massive difference in storage space
so
between the two.
my pack is an external frame pack.
And mine is an
It's
internal
got
frame.
this cool mesh here. Air can get up behind it, keeps my back nice and cool.
And look over
while
here.
I'm backpacking.
Look over here. Mine has that mesh thing. It's nice and cool. It's separated from the pack.
Yeah, but the pack's up against your back.
And so is yours. That's what the mesh is for. My body doesn't touch it. The sweat goes down and drips out the bottom.
But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different containers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different containers. Plus, both of us have more than enough straps
But
to
this
put the
one,
carabiners
this
on.
one had 2.
Well, that one's small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is big.
Mine's better.
No, you're comparing 2 different. Okay, let's compare this pack to the day pack then. How's that sound? So they have the same number of bags. They can both hold a ridiculous amount of
I have
things.
carabiners. I can hang things off the outside.
Give me those carabiners and I can hang things on the
I
outside.
can put my tent on the top or the bottom of my frame.
And specifically, there are these cool little straps at the bottom that nobody uses because they're for putting your tent at the bottom of your pack.
So what's the size of those two?
Mine's bigger.
Turn this way, back to back. Whose is bigger? Mine. The packs have the same bottom to the same top in terms of how much space they use up on your back. and I can shove this full of stuff.
So to answer your question, personal
Internal frame is better.
Personal preference, okay? I have tried both. I am much more comfortable with external frame. Somebody else prefers the internal.
I have tried both. I prefer the internal frame.
And to that extent, the majority of people prefer the internal frame. I will grant you that.
Now, one thing that I do have to admit, despite loving an internal frames still have a frame. It's just that, you know, it's really hard to get to it, but it does have the metal stiffening things. If something should happen, like here I can kind of expose one of them. If anything should happen to these, and I am stuck at day 4 of an 8-day backpacking trip, it is very hard for me to do any field repairs. With one of these, if something starts to go wrong, A, it's obvious ahead of time, B, you have more availability to fix them. That is one point I will concede against the far superior internal frame.
That is true. I don't have
Hey,
it
I have a
on
question
here
for
right
you.
now, but I do have actually some spare pins. I think if one of these breaks, I can fix it on the trail.
I have one question for you though about your pack. What's this Velcro for?
Yeah, you may have noticed the Velcro on the top of that. Okay? That is for my solar battery charger.
Wait. You're allowed to bring a solar battery charger, and I'm not allowed to bring a battery? What's going on? Why are you allowed to bring it and I can't?
Because I'm older than you are.
One question, the external frame one, does it have water sack check?
Yeah, on the side, it's got a long pocket that it actually 2 1-liter water bottles.
We count it as a pouch, but both of them on the sides have a specific thing to put your water bottles in.
Many internal ones have it inside, and that becomes very inconvenient to replenish.
That really depends on the bag. I don't use a bladder, I just use Nalgene's, for example.
He's talking about bladders.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, oh, I thought you were telling me I had 5 minutes left.
No.
Well, that's
One of the hazards. Which pack, just by itself, weighs more?
Empty. Out of our two, so the thing with that, I would actually say, this is a question that you need to be aware of. Because, for example,
that is a
if you
good
look at the
question.
3 packs that we have, which is the heaviest of these 3? It's lighter. Hold this though.
much lighter.
So my internal pack has a listed storage capacity that's actually larger than his external pack. So if you theoretically could fill it up with sand or water, mine would fit more. I'm not sure how you would do that, but it claims you can.
Yeah, originally internal frame.
The base pack, which weighs more?
I don't know for sure, but just holding them up, the internal frame was a little heavier, it seemed to me.
And again, that's going to depend on the pack.
Just slightly. But that's a good point, because if you're into ultralight, or if you're into decreasing the weight that you carry, there's 3 things that you want to look at. The 3 heaviest things that you carry are the pack itself, your tent or your sleeping gear, and your sleeping bag. Those are the 3 heaviest things. Those are the things where you're going to make the most difference. Like I said, yeah, I don't put the cover on my poles. I don't bother with that. I've even gone so far as not taking stakes and use sticks. Believe that Trace in me says that's not a good idea. But I've done that just to save a few ounces. And it's an ounce here and an ounce there, and the next thing you know, you save several pounds. Essentially, you need to look at what you're bringing and say, what don't I need? What can I get away with? What didn't I use on the last outing? Hey, I didn't use the first aid kit. That's
Just bring a super glue.
Yes, bring the super. I want to talk about poles. How many of you use poles when you're hiking? Okay. I used to think poles were a waste. They were more weight to carry than they were a waste. And then I started reading Backpacker Magazine. Then I noticed in Backpacker Magazine there were always articles about which poles to use. There was never, ever an article about should I bring poles or should I not bring poles. Every picture in the magazine, the people are using poles. So I got a pair, and I have never hiked without them since. They are like 2 extra legs.
I actually correct you on that. About a month ago, we were hiking and you didn't bring them.
Yeah,
and you whined and complained
and I whined and
the
complained
entire
the whole
time.
Yes, because I didn't have them, because I had to just use 2 legs. My arms, actually, when I go uphill, my arms actually get tired because I'm pushing with, and I go faster, I hike faster. And let me tell you, as you get older, it gets harder and harder to keep up with people like him. Not to mention 16-year-olds. And so everything I can do to keep up with them, I do. And the poles are one way to do that. These are collapsible, they're very easy to, and they make them even easier now. To shorten, you shorten them to go uphill, you lengthen them to go downhill. I will tell you this, have to cross a stream and you're walking across some rocks or logs, it's really nice to have some extra support. Then you get a backpack on, you know. I've seen people slip and fall into the water. I have slipped and fallen into the water without my poles. So there are, just like the bandana, there's about 30 uses of these. Not to mention, if I need to stave off a wild animal, you know,
Or
they
if you
are
really
really
want,
about them.
or if you really want the chicken.
Or if I really want the chicken. Wearing things, I wear all polyester. I'm wearing all polyester now. I got, my jacket is, my shirt is, my pants are zip-offs. I showed you my underwear. I'm not going to show you again. It is at least now. All right. One thing that is not, I wear hiking boots. I will not hike without hiking boots. There are places like National Scout camps that will not allow you to hike in sneakers or even trail shoes. You must have boots that support your ankle. I have leather hiking boots. These are not my good boots, they're in the back. I do have wool socks. One thing that's not polyester is wool socks, but I got polyester liners. Do you know why? Why do I wear all polyester? Wicking, wicks moisture away. And if it does get wet, it dries up really fast. I was hiking, I got stuck in literally a snowstorm, coming down a mountain one night, and I had a cotton sweatshirt on, and it got soaked. The problem was it had rained on and off all day, and we kept putting our rain gear on, and it would stop raining right about the time we got the rain gear on. And so it started to snow a little bit, and we figured, oh, it's just going to stop right away. So we didn't put our rain gear on. And the next thing you know, it snowed for an hour, and my sweatshirt got soaked, my pants got, I was wearing these pants. An hour later, we stopped and we sat down on a log, and I noticed that my sweatshirt was still soaked, and my pants were completely dry. And they had dried after dark just from my body heat from walking. And I swear by polyester for that purpose.
One thing to add in, we're talking about rain. Make sure that your pack is also protected in some way. Make sure that you have rain gear for your backpack.
Yeah.
More than once.
Your pack is not necessarily watertight.
Yeah, the packs are water resistant. You can splash on them and they won't get immediately soaked through. If you were standing outside in the rain yesterday and you just had on and off low drizzle for consistency's sake, this will eventually start to soak through. And at the end, you're completely out of warm clothes, you're out of the ability to get dry. And that's just the worst feeling ever. Keep your pack covered as well.
Yeah, you hit it.
No, I was trying to ask that coming to shoe, waterproof versus non-waterproof.
Your shoes should be watertight. If they're not watertight, you can buy waterproofing that waterproofs them. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're hiking in the rain,
But another
you don't want to get
practice
wet.
is-
Yeah.
But I was told in wilderness first aid is that if you have waterproof and the water goes in, it always remains wet. never
That's
dry.
right.
That is what's going to
That's
same
right.
with the sweat.
Yeah. You wonder why I have. Where did it? No. Wonder why I wear these, or why I bring these? All right. Rain pants. Okay. Because when you're wearing rain experience too. When you're hiking in the rain, and you've got your jacket on, your poncho or your rain jacket, it keeps your head wet, your shoulders wet, your stomach wet, or dry. Keeps your head dry, shoulders dry, your stomach dry. Right about here, it stops keeping you dry. From here down, the water keeps you wet, right? And remember why we wear wool and polyester socks, right? Because they wick the sweat away from you. Well, guess what? That works in reverse. And when your pants get wet, it wicks the water into your boots, right? And then your feet get wet. Wet feet is the bane of a hiker, all right? Because what happens when your feet get wet? You get blisters, all right? And then you're done hiking, or it becomes very difficult to hike. If your boots are waterproof and you're wearing rain pants and raincoat, there should never get water in your boots, right? If you wear boots that aren't waterproof and it's raining, they're going to get wet anyway. So what's the point of saying don't get waterproof, because if you get water in, it won't get out? Well, if it gets wet and they're wet from the outside, they're wet. So I don't follow that logic. Yeah.
Can you speak again, internal
I really like that topic.
poly or silk? Internal layers.
Ooh. I'm not an expert on that.
I mean, both work. I've seen both.
Poly is a whole lot more affordable.
I would say it's preference and wallet size are kind of your deciding factor.
And a lot of this gear, it all depends on how far you're going, how comfortable you want to be, how much money you want to spend, right? I spend a lot of money on my boots, right? I did spend a lot of money on the sleeping bag and pad. I slept in a tent for years that was a Kmart special, right? It worked fine. I didn't need to spend $500 on a super lightweight, really funky tent, right? I spent $40 on a cheap tent, right? So it all depends on where you want to spend your money and how much value. And I do a lot of backpacking.
We do a lot.
Yeah, question back.
One last question.
Question regarding the tent.
The tent.
Yeah, so you mentioned the tent is, but is that water resistant?
Oh yeah, the tent has to be water resistant. And in fact, as I found out this weekend, you have to, so I have a tent that's quite dry. It's sitting out here by the side, literally in a lake. There's water on both sides of it, front and back. And it's fairly dry inside. Last night, however, I did notice it was starting to get a little water inside. I thought it was condensation. When I got up and took a good look, I realized there's nothing on the walls or the ceiling of my tent. Turns out, water was leaking in through the seams. Right where the plastic was tied to the outside of the tent, there's a seam. You have to seal those seams. It's kind of like glue, right? It's just this little seam sealer that you put around. And you have to do that to keep, even the best tent has to have the seam sealer.
Okay, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You just go to REI and you buy a little bottle of seam sealer, and it's like tape. You just run it around the outside of the seam sealer.
Okay.
It is a spray on? Yeah, it's like glue. All right, we are out of time. Neil is kicking us out. We can talk later if people have other questions.
Thank you. I would like to add one comment to this. When you're crossing a body of water, a stream, what have you, poles are good, but make sure you undo your waist belt. If you fall, you want to be able to get out of that path. Even if it's not really deep and the current's washing away, most people cannot get up from laying down with a backpack attached to their back, even on dry ground. So.